Bugonia, the new film starring Emma Stone and Jesse Planton. I got to see it at early screen last night, and my golly, did this film not disappoint. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button to never miss a video. We have daily film content, including movie reviews, movie news, and so much more. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button to never miss a video. Today we are talking about the new film Bugonia, which has been on my watch list for quite some time. It has been one of my most anticipated films, or should I say it's been one of my most anticipated films of this year for months now. Ever since I saw the first trailer, I am a huge Emma Stone fan, I'm not going to lie. I've been a huge fan since Superbad and Zombieland. Even the House Bunny. Okay, I even liked the House Bunny. I watched it back in high school and I liked it. I've seen pretty much every Emma Stone film almost. And I've followed her career again since it first came out Superbad. So I've pretty much been a huge fan of hers and love everything she's been in, and this is no exception. She teams up with director, I'm not even going to try to butcher his name, from the director of Poor Things and The Favorite. This film is more, I would say, a mainstream art house movie. It's not really a art house film. It's more mainstream. They wrap it up nice and it's marketable to the masses. But he still kind of pulls his technique and storytelling visuals from his art house style to give us this film, which it's layered and he kind of really has this way of making films that is two genres, which is thriller and dark comedy, to make this masterful film, which is damn near perfect except for one thing, which I'm going to cover as we get there in the review. Starting off, if you haven't already seen the trailer, I know what this film is about. It's pretty much Jesse Planton's character thinks that Emma Stone's character, who is a CEO of a Fortune 500 company named Michelle, is an alien, and an alien from another planet who's here to control us, and that this world isn't our own. An alienoid. He calls them alienoids. And he then recruits his cousin, who is very influenceable, to help him kidnap her so she can take them to her mothership so they can negotiate terms for Earth's release. And it just kind of gets crazier from there. So pretty much the entire film is that these two conspiracy theorists kidnap a CEO and try, because they think she's an alien. And the whole plot is them trying to get her to take them to her spaceship. Again, it blends thriller and dark comedy because this film does have some comedic moments. And I'd say the first 15 minutes of this movie or so, it's good, but it's not great. It's good. It doesn't really pop off until the abduction scene, and once that happens, you have just this astonishing performance from both Emma Stone and Jesse Planton, who, again, these are both career, Jesse Planton, this is definitely a career, one of his best performances of his career. Emma Stone had some great performance under her belt, already won an Oscar. I definitely think this is going to be another win for her, if not at least a nomination. I think this is definitely going to swoop the Oscars, though, as far as nominations, not necessarily wins. I think we're going to see a lot of nominations for this film. But again, getting back to the whole point, is that when you have these two on screen, their first interaction and every interaction since then, they play off each other so well. The chemistry is anything like any other movie you've ever seen, because it's not that typical chemistry you generally see between a male and female co-star. There's no sexual tension. There is no romantic, it's not like that kind of, it's not that type of chemistry. It's because they're characters on the opposite side of the spectrum, and they tend to flip-flop back and forth as protagonist and antagonist. As the film goes on, there are these moments where they get kind of really dark and the arches kind of switch, but at no point are their performances anything but spectacular. They are metaphorically at each other's throats the entire film, and they play off each other so well. And then again, the direction is just pulling everything together to tell us this fantastic story, blending everything perfectly to give us this really obscure film. And again, so like I said, it's a mass market film. It's something you definitely could market as a big budget feature, and it's going to be a crowd pleaser. But again, he also uses those art house techniques to tell the story. Again, the cinematography, we have these gorgeous shots, and even some more obscure shots that definitely feel like he definitely was using them to create emotion and have this unsettling feeling. Like some of his shots are not wide shots, or like these extreme wide shots, and the characters are in the middle, and you have like so much background, but there's really nothing there. It's like they're in a basement, so it's not really like Lawrence of Arabia where you have him in the fraction of a shot with this huge scope of this desert, and just them standing in a room. But the shot's so wide, it gives you this sense of uncertainty and disconnect, which definitely drives the film. And there's even some shots in there that you don't really follow the pattern in which he goes with, but while you're watching, you know that they mean something, and there's a reason he shot that way to convey something, even though I didn't pick up on my first screening. Score. I mean, again, not to get too technical with it, the score, again, is just, it's one of those scores where it works perfectly well, because it's very abrupt when needed, but it's also dead silent when the action is fulfilling, and just what's being played out before you really gives you everything, and it floods you with emotion more than what you need. And it just works so well. And my only problem with this entire movie is the ending. Now, when I say the ending, I don't mean the end. They completely botched the ending. It's just one of those movies where I have this thing where it's like, if they would have cut the last 30 to like 90 seconds, we would have had this amazing ending that just went, and it would just given you the perfect like freight train stop that would have worked so well, and it would have had a crisp ending, whereas we kind of go on for like 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds too long, and then you just kind of start to dwell on things, and it just kind of, again, it's the montage scene with a very, I won't say over the top, but a very abrupt kind of score that we really don't need. You cut that off, we have a damn near perfect movie. But with that, again, it's like, I feel like they just didn't know when to end it, and they were trying to over-explain. And again, the argument comes with The Dark Knight Rises, when Alfred, told Bruce the whole story about how he goes to Paris for like a week every year or whatever, and he says at his coffee shop, and he tells him how he wants to see him one day across there with a woman, maybe some kids, and know that he made it and he was okay. He would just nod, and Bruce would nod back, and they wouldn't say anything. They would just know the other is doing okay. And then, of course, at the end, you have Alfred sitting at the coffee shop. A lot of people argue that it would have been better if he just nodded and you don't see Bruce. They didn't cut the Bruce. They just end it with a nod, because it gives that like anticipation. It doesn't have that certainty. This film could use that, but in a different way. It just needed a little snip. And I feel like it definitely would have gave it a crisper ending, and it would have worked out phenomenally better. But I mean, overall, this dialogue, like, kind of jumping back into it a little bit, the dialogue is razor sharp. We have a great script, and like I said, the script is great, the direction's great, but this film really is driven by the performances. And if these performances aren't recognized at the Oscars, I'd be shocked shitless, because these are two of the best performances I've seen all year, and I've seen a lot of films this year. Not every film that's come out. There's still quite a few from the festivals that are kind of in the Oscar buzz that I haven't seen yet, just because they haven't come out yet, and major releases, and I didn't get a chance to hit all the festivals, or any of the festivals really. So with that being said, I'm going to give this one a full price, because even with my minute issue, actually, I take it back. I'm going to give this a full price. I'm giving this one a Ferris Bueller, because even with that ending just being a tiny bit too long, I will definitely probably end up seeing this again in theaters, depending upon how things work out with screenings. Because I know we got like 3 or 4 screenings I can see this week. Some new films coming out. So there's a very strong possibility that I'm going to end up going and seeing this again in theaters, because that's how much I love this movie. And there's so much detail there that just really needs to be picked up on. This is a movie that I would say it's a Ferris Bueller, because I'll probably see it twice in theaters. Question of the day is, have you saw the film? What are your thoughts? Comment below. Let me know.